I got these sweet Gundam Converge figures. I can't wait to show you these guys. And oh shit, a rat! You guys like it when I brought back dead memes? Anyways, how's it going, guys? It is Plastic Disasta, and today we are going to do the review of the core class Rattrap from the Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom. A fun fact about me, I was born in the year 1996, and 1996 is the year of the rat, which means Rattrap is one of my favorite characters in Beast Wars. And when I heard that they're gonna make a core class figure of him, I was so excited to get him, and I would get this figure in a heartbeat, and here it is. The backstory of his character, even though I've only seen a few episodes of Beast Wars, I believe Rattrap is kind of like a spy character, but his personality is kind of a smartass, that's why I love this character. His role in the Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom Netflix show, he didn't really do much. That's really disappointing. Well, anyways, taking a look at the packaging, we see Rattrap in his beast mode walking through, I believe it's molten lava. On the side of the box, you see that he is a core class figure. Now, I've already taken a look at another core class figure, which is Starscream. Check out that review. And in the back of the packaging, you can see that he can turn to beast mode to robot mode in 18 steps. Alright, now that you've seen the packaging, let's take a look at the figure itself. Inside the packaging, we are greeted with, of course, Rattrap, his gun, and the instruction manual. Alright, let me just put these aside and let's talk about Rattrap. One thing I want to point out that comparing this figure to the 90s show Beast Wars, it's really not that kibble heavy. I mean, take a look at this. I'll admit, it is quite a mess. Coming from a core class, somewhat understandable because you don't have a lot of engineering to collapse this even further. I mean, even core class Starscream has better kibble management than Rattrap, and that's sad. Some of you may agree with me, some of you may disagree. It's okay, that's your guys' opinion. Maybe I'll let this slide, and who knows, maybe I'll get used to it. If we ignore the rat kibble, the front of the figure actually looks really nice. The painting, especially on the forearms, actually looks really nice, and take a look at that detail. It is a tiny, very tiny Maxable symbol on it, and I just love it. And especially on the face too, if we take a look at that, the painting on the face is actually well done, especially down to the tiny red details on the eyes and the mouth. But the only thing I want to point out that's very unsettling to look at, which would be the feet. Okay, I'm just gonna be really honest, it looks kinda ugly. Like, why does it have the gloss finish on the feet while everything else is like kind of a matte finish? And I prefer the matte finish over the gloss finish in my opinion. That's how I prefer my Gundam balls, with a matte finish. Okay, maybe I'm being too harsh on the figure, but how does it feel? Pretty solid. Before I move on to the articulation, let's talk about the accessory, the only accessory, which would be his gun. It's a really nice attention to detail on this gun, but I wish it could use a little more paint apps, but maybe that's just me being nitpicky. And as for weapon storage, notice how there's a tab right here. You can just put it into that hole right there, and it is just as easy, and here's how it looks when it's stored. Okay, so let's move on to the articulation. Now, I don't know if I already said it in my core class Starscream review, but it is on a bunch of ball joints, I'll tell you that. Head, however, is not on a ball joint, but it can move side to side. Shoulder is on a unique ball joint, but anyways, the arm can move out that far, it can move out this far. Yeah, I can see how weird this is. There's a ball joint on the elbow, so it can bend 90 degrees, and it can also swivel. The leg can move up that far, can kick back that far, can move out that far, and you also have a limited thigh swivel. The knee is kind of funny. You get a double bend at the knee, which is really great for a core class figure, but you also get a knee swivel, and I believe it's like a lower knee swivel, because again, it's on a bunch of ball joints. As for the foot, of course, it's on a ball joint. So overall, the articulation is actually pretty nice for a core class figure. I wouldn't say it's lacking in some areas though, but I do wish that there is a small ball joint on the wrist. And one thing I forgot to tell you is that there are the gaps on the thigh, and it is pretty bad to look at. And I'm not sure if there's some sort of piece of plastic that will cover the gap, so it will be not as bad to look at. And if there is, let me know in the comments below. For size comparisons, here he is right next to the RX-78 II. And as usual, the core class is half the height of the 1144 standard RX-72 Gundam. Maybe I should get core class Optimus Prime, because I remember what I said in my Starscream review that the core class could be in scale with the 1144 scale Gundams. And here he is right next to Optimus Primal and Cheetor, and my goodness, they look so great together. Of course, Optimus Primal is a Voyager class, while Cheetor is a deluxe figure. Now, if you want to see it next to a leader class, here he is right next to Beast Wars Megatron, and look how gigantic he is compared to Rattrap. And finally, here he is right next to Optimus Prime and Godzilla. Let me just zoom out just a little bit. Much better. Okay, now that you've seen Rattrap in his robot mode, and it's time to turn him into the beast mode. Rattrap, maximize. And here is the beast mode, and I gotta say, it looks fine, but I wish it could use a little more color. Like, it could really use some brown dry brushing just to get the fur texture out. And speaking of the fur texture, I really appreciate the details on this thing. It's like a modern Beast Wars figures. I mean, that is the point of the Kingdom line. And for weapon storage, see this tab right here, you just insert it into that hole right there. Doesn't look that bad for weapon storage. Now let's talk about the one thing that may be unsettling. How many times have I used that word? And that would be the kibble, the back of the rat. You can tell that's the robot hands. And underneath, it looks kind of convincing, but you can still see a Rattrap's face on it. And as for the articulation of the rats, there is no movement on the head, no movement on the front of the legs, but you still get a ball joint from the feet. Now remember how I said there is a double bend at the knee? That is for the transformation. The tail moves down and up. So overall, the articulation on the beast mode is not the best. But from my experience of transforming this figure, it's not as hard as it seems, even though I did struggle in some areas when I was transforming this figure on camera, but when you're doing it out of camera, it's really easy. So for size comparisons, here he is right next to the Voyager class Kingdom Optimus Primal in his beast mode, and here he is right next to Deluxe class Cheetor in his beast mode, and once again, they look so great together. And finally, here he is right next to Earthrise slash Kingdom Optimus Prime, the standard high-graded RX-782 1144 scale, and NECA Godzilla. Alright, I'm going to turn Rattrap back to his robot mode, and it's time for my final thoughts. Alright, so moving on to my final thoughts. Overall, it's a nice figure. It may not be the best Transformers figure, but it is the best modern day Rattrap figure. And so far, my favorite core class figure will still be Starscream. Now, I know it may surprise some of you, but hear me out. It's just that core class Starscream has better details, better alternate mode. Now, I know his is a jet and his is a rat. I know it's an unfair comparison, because when it comes to the beast mode on Rattrap, I thought I expect just a little more articulation, even for a core class, but the articulation on the beast mode is just not very satisfying. But as a robot mode, yes, I think Rattrap is better because, come on, double bend at the knee. Okay, so let me just rephrase this. As a alternate mode, Starscream is better, but as a robot mode, Rattrap is better. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's just put down our pitchforks and torches. I can still safely say that you should pick up this figure. if you don't have a modern Rattrap figure, pick this one up. You will like it. Alright guys, that about wraps up the review. And if you really like this sort of content, please be sure to subscribe to see more reviews. And if you have any questions or any concerns, leave a comment. And don't forget to leave a like as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Remember the good old days of Plastic Disasta when he used to show model kits as like less than 5 minutes, especially that Optimus Prime one? Well, you know what? Speaking of Optimus Prime, I'm gonna make it up to you. Any G1 fans out there?